I'm sure most people know about the whole killer clown situation back in 2016 and 2017. All around the world, killer clown sightings were increasing, and more videos came out of people getting chased by these clowns. My situation was worse, and it's something that still haunts my friends and I to this day. It was a Friday night in late September. My parents had left that morning for a week-long cruise, which meant I had the house to myself. No rules, no curfew. By midnight, the three of us, me, Tyler, and Marcus, were sitting in my living room surrounded by pizza boxes and empty cans. A horror movie was paused on the TV, but nobody was really watching it. We were bored and a little drunk, just talking about nothing. Tyler leaned back on the couch and said we should go out. Not to a party or anything, just out. "Let's walk to the park," he said. "It's creepier at night. It'll be fun." I knew it was a dumb idea. My parents had literally texted, "Don't do anything stupid." But the house felt small and quiet, and the thought of fresh air sounded good. 10-minute walk there, 10 back. I shrugged and grabbed my favorite hoodie. Marcus threw a couple of beers into the backpack for the walk. At this point, it was 1:51 in the morning. The streets were almost empty. A few porch lights were still on, but most of the houses were dark. Our footsteps echoed on the sidewalk. The air was cold enough that you could see our breath. The park sat at the edge of town, right before the woods. In the daytime, it was full of kids, dogs, and people on jogs. At night, it looked like it had been abandoned. There was one sad street lamp in the small parking lot, and beyond it, you could just make out the swings and slide. Behind that was a wall of trees. We hopped a low fence and walked towards the swings. Tyler dropped onto one and started swaying back and forth, chains squeaking. Marcus leaned on a pole. I sat on a bench, opened a can, and stared into the tree line. The quiet felt heavy. No cars, no people. Even the sounds of insects were distant, then something moved near the trees. At first, I thought it was just my eyes adjusting. A dark shape stood between the trunks, half hidden in the shadows. For a second, I figured it was a random guy walking his dog or cutting through the park. Then, he stepped into the light. He was tall, way taller than any of us. His shoulders lined up with the lowest branches. He was dressed as a clown, not the shiny, bright kind you see at a circus. His costume looked old and dirty, like it had been pulled out of a basement after years. The colors were faded red, blue, and yellow, stained in places. A big puffball in his chest hung by a few threads. His face was painted white, but the makeup was cracked. The red smile was uneven, tilted like someone had drawn it while the man moved. Dark paint circled his eyes, making them look like empty holes. The wig on his head was thin and tangled. He didn't speak, he didn't wave, he just stood at the edge of the playground facing us. All three of us froze. The air felt suddenly colder. The swing under Tyler creaked to a stop. Marcus went very still next to the pole. I waited for the guy to say something, maybe a boo or gotcha. Something to show this was a prank. Nothing. He didn't move a muscle. The longer it went on, the worse it felt. The clown didn't look nervous or excited, he looked empty, like there was nobody behind the eyes. Tyler, being Tyler, broke first. He grabbed his nearly empty beer can, pulled his arm back, and threw it. The can hit the clown in the chest with a hollow thud. Beer splashed across the front of the costume and dripped onto the ground. The clown lowered his head as if he was looking at the wet spot. Then, very slowly, he lifted his face again. His painted smile hadn't changed, but his eyes seemed sharper now, focused. He still didn't say a word. He turned around in a stiff, slow motion and walked back into the trees. Branches shifted, then he was gone. None of us laughed. "Let's go," Marcus said quietly, and we all left. The walk back started fast and quiet. None of us wanted to be the first one to admit that we were scared of a grown man in makeup, but we all felt it. We stuck close together on the sidewalk. The road stretched ahead of us, broken into yellow circles of streetlight. The trees on either side of the road leaned in, blocking most of the sky. After a few minutes, I heard something behind us. Footsteps. I tried to tell myself it was just an echo of our own, bouncing off the houses, but they didn't seem to match our pace. They were heavier, slower, closer. I glanced over my shoulder. Down the road, under the light near the park entrance, a tall shape stepped off the curb. The same costume, the same pale face. The clown had followed us. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other. Then he started walking faster. I saw something in his hand, long, thin, and shining when it caught the streetlight. That was enough for us to know that we had to run. The three of us sprinted down the street. My backpack bounced against my shoulders. My breath tore in and out of my chest. I could hear the clown's footsteps hitting the pavement behind us, much faster now. Every few seconds there was a metallic clink, like the blade hitting his buttons or the road. We cut across a side street towards my house, the neighborhood blurred by shapes of cars, mailboxes, closed curtains. Every dark window felt like an eye that didn't care what happened to us. My house finally came into view. 2-story, small yard, porch light glowing like a target. We stumbled up the steps. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the keys. I jammed the wrong key into the lock first, let out a couple of F-bombs, then finally got the right one in. The door opened and we slammed it shut behind us. I locked both deadbolts and threw the chain across. Tyler dragged a chair under the handle like we were in a horror movie. It felt ridiculous and necessary at the same time. My heart was beating so hard it hurt. I grabbed the house phone from the wall because my cell was down to 3% in the kitchen. I dialed 911 with shaking fingers. The dispatcher answered and I forced the story out. Man in a clown costume, chasing us, weapon in hand. We were home but he might be outside. She told us to go upstairs, lock ourselves in a room, and stay on the line. Officers were already on the way. We sprinted to my bedroom at the back of the house and shoved my dresser in front of the door. I could still hear the dispatcher's calm voice through the speaker, asking questions and telling us to stay away from the windows. For a few seconds, the house was completely quiet. Then we heard the window break. Glass shattered somewhere downstairs, sharp and fast. A rush of cold air followed. We froze. Nobody spoke. The dispatcher's voice sounded far away now, even though the phone was right there on my bed. Footsteps moved through the kitchen, slow, heavy. Each step creaked a board. Something scraped along the wall, like metal lightly dragging across it. The steps then came into the hallway, then up the stairs. The sound changed when he climbed. More weight on each step. A small thud, like he was hitting the wall or the railing with his shoulder with a knife. They stopped right outside my bedroom. The knob turned left and right, testing the lock. The dresser rattled. The door held. For a moment there was silence. Then he started hitting the door. The first blow shook the dresser. The second one made the wood crack near the lock. I imagined the clown on the other side, face inches from the door, makeup smeared, holding the knife, listening to us breathe. Somewhere outside, sirens grew louder. The dispatcher said the police were on our street. We heard doors slam, shouting, and heavy boots on the front porch. The pounding on my bedroom door stopped. The footsteps moved down the hallway again, quicker now, then a deeper shout from downstairs. "Police! Drop it! Drop it now!" The next few seconds were a blur of yelling, more footsteps, and one sharp scream that cut off fast, then everything went quiet. 2 officers eventually pushed my bedroom door open after we moved the dresser aside. They checked us, made sure we were okay, and walked us downstairs. The back kitchen window was a mess of broken glass and cold night air. Muddy shoe prints led from the window to the hall and then back again where the officers had dragged him out. Outside in the flashing lights, the clown lay face down on our front lawn, hands cuffed behind his back. 2 cops were holding him down. His wig was gone, showing a bald, pale head. The white makeup was smeared, rubbed off in places. Without it, he looked older, tired, almost normal. Almost. When they hauled him to his feet and started walking him toward the car, he turned his head. Even with one eye swollen and face paint smeared, he found me in the crowd of neighbors and cops. For a second, the world went quiet. He smiled, not the big, painted smile from before. A small, real one. Calm. Then he quietly shaped the words with his lips. "See you next time." I don't know if anyone else noticed. The police talked to us until sunrise. A few days later, we found out who he was. He'd escaped from a mental hospital about 40 miles away. They said he'd been there for years after attacking people at a carnival, dressed the same way. He'd slipped out during a transfer and vanished. They believed he'd been living in the woods near our town, hiding during the day, watching at night. We were the first ones he chased. As far as we know, we were the first ones to get away. The cop told us we did everything right, running, locking the doors, calling 911. They said if we'd tried to confront him or stayed out in the open, things could have ended very differently. My parents cut their trip short. For weeks, I couldn't walk past the mirror at night without expecting to see white paint and red smears behind me. I still triple-check the back windows before bed. Sometimes, late at night, when the neighborhood is quiet and the wind rattles the swings at the park down the road, I start to hear the squeak of chains and imagine a tall shape standing just beyond the trees, waiting for someone to wander too close. If you ever feel bored at 2 in the morning and think, let's go hang out at the park, don't. Stay inside, lock the door, watch a movie, go to sleep.